Welcome to the B Critics special birthday edition, episode 9. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, I am officially 26 years old and I haven't died yet.
Jeez.
What?
It's my birthday.
It is my birthday. You may send all of your presents to me.
No, he didn't even ask for anything for his birthday. He was like, I don't know.
I
don't know, Tara.
Everything I want is like $100 or more, okay? So I can't ask for things.
I mean, technically, I got this computer for my birthday.
I know, and this was like $700. And geez.
Yep, that's for me.
Awesome. I guess I'm spending $700 for my birthday.
That's a special thing for me.
Oh, a special thing for... Well, what special thing do I get?
How about a new chair?
A new chair?
Yeah.
I like mine that's missing an arm and the other arm is being torn apart and there's a hole developing in the seat of it. It's a good chair.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. It's my birthday. It's the B Critics. It's the 9th episode. It's the 10th episode, actually. I lied.
It's the 9th episode.
It's the 9th episode. It's not the 10th episode. I lied. We got some movies coming at you, and we are immediately starting it off with a slight break in the formula because I needed a break from Netflix movies.
Yeah, but let's start off by saying that this is probably the best week we've had since episode 3.
Yeah, this has been a really spectacular week. Even better than episode 3, because we didn't have to watch Extinction this week.
That's true.
This is the best overall week that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Week 5 was also pretty good. That was with the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, Crazy Rich Asians, and the Meg.
No,
that was a pretty good week.
No,
What?
Crazy Rich Asians was good.
I didn't mind the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Nah.
And you didn't
It
mind
wasn't as good as White Boy Rick, though, and that's our low point of this episode.
Boy, and a low point it is.
No, it's not that low.
I have some issues with it, which we will discuss later.
Okay.
We're starting off with...
Oh, yeah. Okay, say how we're breaking our format here. Because I interrupted.
And I was just going to again, and then you interrupted again.
I was just checking if you remembered.
Yes, we're breaking the format. We are not watching a Netflix movie at the start of this episode. Well, we've already watched them, so...
because Paul has, like, a major crush on Nicolas Cage.
It's not that I have a crush on Nicolas Cage. It's that I, like many other people, understand that there is one true God on this planet Earth, and it is Nicolas Cage.
That's what I would call a crush.
That is not a crush. There is a difference between...
Okay, so you're obsessed with him.
No. I simply understand the objective truths of the world, that Nicolas Cage is in fact the greatest actor of all time. That's not a crush. That's not an obsession. That is just a perfectly reasonable viewpoint.
I think he gets things going for you.
That's Ryan Gosling.
But that's for everybody.
Well, yeah, because
Everyone
Ryan Gosling
loves
is
the
the
goose.
perfect man. He's the perfect man.
He is.
And I would do unspeakably gay things with him.
That's right. It's good to know that
My bar is set high.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, my line. Nice. This first movie, this episode, is, of course, Mandy, the sophomoric effort by director Panos Cosmatos, which I've probably pronounced wrong, but when you got a name like that, can you really blame me? This movie is an absolutely splendiferous, fantastical, exceptional movie.
Please.
What?
Please don't make words up.
It is splendiferous.
Please don't. You're taking away from the movie.
I am not. This movie is too good for regular generic adjectives.
No.
Yes.
I mean, I did really like it.
Yeah, because it's an exceptional film.
I seriously think this is my favorite movie that we've done.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I loved it.
So, I was a little upset because there were a lot of theaters throughout the country that were showing Mandy, and I looked online and I could not find a single theater in the state that was showing Mandy. But, lo and behold, it can be rented on Amazon Prime, so we just did that and watched it here. It's not like our...
Alright, that's our break from format that you never did say.
The break from format is that it's not Netflix, pretty much.
Even though you said you were going to.
And Amazon. Well,
No, the break from format is that we paid for it, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that was the break in format.
Well, the other ones have been streaming from all Netflix and one Amazon, so they've all been streaming, but we rented this one because Paul wanted to see it that bad.
This movie was so good that we paid money for it.
Yeah, like $6.
Yeah, it was $6, and it was $6 that I would never ask for back because I got to indulge in one of the most psychotic, psychedelic, ridiculous combinations of an art piece and a visual horror that I've ever seen. It was a fever dream. This movie is a fever dream. That is what it is. It's like once you're done watching it, you kind of wake back up to the world and you're like, did that just happen? I should get in a little bit deeper and start to talk about what's actually going on with this movie here, because so far I've been pretty vague about it.
But
I'll be vague enough.
Spoil what happens.
Yeah, Thomas the Tank Engine dies. Thomas the Tank Engine dies, and Shrek marries... Shrek marries Anne Hathaway.
No.
That's how the movie ends. No, I'm not going to spoil much. I'm not going to spoil a whole lot, because this is a movie that you sincerely have to witness with your own eyes. You need to take in every single shot.
Yeah, don't do anything while you watch it.
No, yeah.
Nothing.
Pay strict attention. Do not let your eyes waver for a moment. The basic plot background is Nicolas Cage lives out in the middle of the woods with his girlfriend, wife, whoever, Mandy. And then things happen from there. And I'm not even going to tell you what those things are, because that would already take away from the movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard to talk about the rest of the movie without saying the next thing that happens, but it's a movie that is slow to get going, but it's slow in a good way. There are some movies that are slow in a bad way, where either nothing happens or nothing interesting is on the screen, or it's just boring altogether. This movie is anything but boring. Even in the absolute slowest portions, the audio and the visuals come together in an absolutely masterful way. This was the final score ever done by Johan Johansson, and it's a fantastic score. There's post-rock elements with primal drums and soaring experimental guitar parts. There's piercing synth lines.
When he's on his motorcycle thing, going through the tunnel, was that a song, or was that written for the movie?
Pretty sure that was written for the movie. I think the only song in the whole movie is at the very beginning when Starless by King Crimson is playing. And what an excellent song to start off a movie like this.
It was so good.
Oh, gosh. And with the music being so exceptional, the visuals were definitely right on par up there as well. This movie had, so far, the most interesting shots I've seen in a movie ever. Its use of color theory was through the roof. There were colors that you never see regularly used in movies before. Some scenes that will have this amazing lush filter over it, and camera tricks like merging characters' faces into each other, but it's so subtly that you don't even realize it's happening until it's gone through the third cycle of shuffling through their faces. It's such a treat.
It reminded me of when we saw My Bloody Valentine a lot.
Yeah, this is the film equivalent of seeing My Bloody Valentine live in concert. You get lost in it. Even when you can't comprehend what's happening, you're just sitting there and you've let yourself be consumed by this movie. And that's what pretty much the first half of the movie is like. The first half of the movie is just this incredibly vibrant, dreamy, hazy treat.
I think that I could never ever try drugs because I really liked that.
You become obsessed with psychedelics?
Yeah. I really liked that, and I really liked that concert, and I was like, I need to see more of this now. And I did watch more. I watched his other movie over the weekend because I liked it that much. And I was like, yes, this is all good. I'm going to have a big problem if I ever try, like, psychedelics.
It's a fantastic movie. And then the second half is an amazing tonal shift straight into brutal action visual horror.
So much gore. It was amazing.
It is such a bloody movie. Like, this isn't just blood sprays. This is like blood gushes.
Yeah.
This is like
stuff.
Heads exploding, limbs falling off. This movie, this is the most spoilery thing that I'll say, and don't worry, because this is just going to sell you on the movie more. There is a chainsaw duel in this movie. Nicolas Cage straight up chainsaw duels a cult member, and it's one of the best things ever. Now, people give Nicolas Cage shit a lot because he's so over the top, but the amazing part about Mandy is that the surreal nature of the movie blends absolutely perfectly with Nicolas Cage's over-the-top acting style. All of his yelling and screaming and melodrama and his general way of being... Even his super corny comedy one-liners throughout the movie fit because the rest of the movie doesn't fit. Because none of this movie fits with anything, everything fits with this movie. Gosh, it's just incredible. I want to talk more about the plot, but I really can't because then you won't know what's gonna happen, and you will know what's going to happen, and then you'll know what's coming, and it won't make such an impact. It's definitely not a happy ending movie, but I mean, come on. From what I've talked about so far with all the gore, how can it be a happy ending movie?
Because gore is good.
Yeah, it is a violent movie, and the costume designing for a certain faction of characters is exceptional too. There are these like biker demon things that you're brought to believe that they're just regular people that are addicted to a bad batch of LSD and it's caused them to go crazy. But
I didn't really think that.
Well, it's what the movie tries to make you think. So there may have been a line you missed or something like that.
I was probably just like, what are those?
Probably, but the whole movie keeps doing things to make you second guess that theory. It makes you say, no, I don't. They're not human, but are they? No, they can't be.
I don't know what those are.
It's just back and forth, and the cast is so strange looking. Everybody in this movie is just
yes,
a little
it was
off.
So good. It was like, oh, they're not all beautiful. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Like, even Mandy is a very striking and interesting looking woman, but with some glaring, like, physical
unattractive
flaws.
Features.
Right, some unattractive features, but at the same time is a very magnetic looking character too.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. The cast is just phenomenal, even if Nicolas Cage is the only real well-known name in it. Heck, that's even better, because I wasn't being distracted with actors that I knew, and I'm like, oh, look, it's that actor. It's just...
Well, I knew one.
Oh, of course you did.
He was in Hannibal Rising.
Oh. Yeah.
The chemist.
Oh. Speaking of Hannibal, the main antagonist in this movie is trying to do his best Buffalo Bill impression the entire time.
And who dislikes Buffalo Bill? Oh, you can't just drink in the middle of the show.
I need to. I need to ease my throat, keep it feeling good.
The movie was so, like, peaceful and hypnotic in the beginning, and it goes from like 0 to 100 by the end.
Yeah. There's a particular scene. It's like a 3-minute scene with Mr. Nicolas Cage in his underwear in the bathroom with a bottle of vodka, and it's like the most jarring tonal shift in a movie ever, because that is like the movie's turning point, where it's gone from the more hypnotic side to the more visceral side, and it's just Nicolas Cage doing what he does.
Doing what he does best.
Doing what he does best.
Crazy.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm going to take this time to remind the world that Nicolas Cage has an Academy Award. So, if you want to try and call him a bad actor, you're going to have to fight me for that.
What was that for again?
I always forget what the name was. I can find it.
Okay, I'll find it and you keep talking. Or just sit there. Best Actor, Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes, Leaving Las Vegas. And he was nominated for adaptation. So, yeah, he's a fantastic actor. You'll never be able to tell me otherwise, because Nicolas Cage is the greatest, and this is the greatest Nicolas Cage movie. Even better than Face Off.
But why don't you ever want to watch Family Man with me?
I'm usually doing other stuff.
Hey, you don't have time for him then.
I have a lot of hobbies to balance, okay?
You just don't like Family Man.
You have one hobby to balance.
Hey. At least my hobby is our whole theme of the show. So I know more things than you do.
But I can pretend I know more things than you.
Yeah, I know. Liar.
So at the end of the day, if you don't mind a little bit of blood and guts, and by that I mean a lot of blood and guts.
If you love it.
If you don't mind, or if you love it, absolutely watch Mandy. Absolutely drop $7 to watch this movie on Amazon Prime. It is worth every penny.
I'll probably buy it if you personally know us and want to borrow it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely picking this up on Blu-ray when it comes out at the end of the year. Can't say enough. It's just such a unique and amazing movie, and the absolute plebeians of the world have rated this at a current 7 out of 10 on IMDb. You garbage pails who can't appreciate art if it smacked you across the face. This is why we get shit like Mile 22 in the theaters.
This movie's reviews are like 10 out of 10 and 1 out of 1. And there's like nothing between.
1 out of 1?
Oh, 1 out of 10.
Yeah, you either love it or you hate it. And if you hate it, you're no friend of mine.
Well.
I mean, unless you actually are my friend. In which case, I respect your opinion, but you're wrong.
I like when they put the title on the screen and it was like black metal font or whatever.
Even the title cards of this movie are great. How amazing of a movie do you have to be when your title cards are stylized? Like the third act title card, just Mandy. It starts off as, you can kind of tell it, and then just more and more of that kind of like a stick and branch effect from like deathcore and like black metal band logos. It's so great. It's so over the top. It's
yeah, to where the point where it's, if you didn't look up right away and it's been on for 2 seconds, then you won't be able to read it.
Exactly. It just keeps branching out. But yeah, great movie. Absolutely outstanding score. Outstanding visuals. The plot, honestly, I don't even care what the plot is anymore. The rest of the movie is such an absolute delight. And it is a basic plot too, but the exposition with the plot is so vague and convoluted that you're still wondering about everything. It doesn't explain the lore. For a movie that takes place in the US in 1984, it does not feel like it at all. It feels like this alternate reality that we'll never see, and I love it.
You need the basic plot though to go along with how dramatic everything else is.
You do, yeah, you do.
Because I watched his other movie, Beyond the Black Rainbow, I think it was called. And the plot was not basic at all. And I was like, what is this? It was a lot weirder than this one.
And that's saying something, because this is already a weird movie. But, man, that's all I've got to say about it. Watch it. This is a 3 thumbs up, and I've only got 2. This is a watch immediately. What? That was not a dick joke, if that's what you think.
That is what I think.
It's not a dick joke.
I think it was.
A penis is not a thumb.
I bet some people's are.
That's really rude.
What?
This brings us to our next movie. Again, the weakest movie of the week.
But it wasn't that bad.
I'm not going to say it was terrible, but I will express my woes with it.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, that's right. This
White Boy Rick.
Yes, White Boy.
Forget about your intro.
Where do we begin? Caucasian Lad Richard is a movie based on a true story about Detroit's, actually America's, youngest crime lord, Richard Wershey Jr., portrayed in his acting debut by Richie Merritt.
You know that?
Yep.
Yeah, because I just confirmed.
No, I knew that beforehand, which is why I said it.
Okay.
Boom.
I'm just checking.
The bigger name actor who you will probably know in this is, of course, Matthew McConaughey, because who doesn't know who Matthew McConaughey is?
Nobody.
A few people.
No.
Playing Richard Wershey Sr. Rick and Rick are 2 Detroit natives who go around the country to gun shows, purchasing guns at the lowest possible price so they can resell them to local gangbangers, hoodlums, and citizens of Detroit. This is in the 80s, so this is after Detroit has become a shit show, and after half of the city is decaying and abandoned.
That's nice that you can just start saying words and then just finish all your sentences. That's a nice trait.
It takes a lot of practice. Sometimes I stand in front of the mirror and I just give little speeches.
I can tell when you're like trying to think of something and then you think of it right away, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Years of practice. Years of ranting. Years of arguing with strangers on the internet.
I can't.
Long story short, Rick Jr. eventually is coerced by the local authorities to deal drugs for them to figure out where various crime lords in the city are, and it just kind of goes from there. It's the story of Rick and the friends he makes along the way, and his fate at the end of it. If you already know the story about Rick Wershey, then you already know how the movie ends. Obviously, it's a true story.
We didn't.
You're right. I didn't. I only knew like 1 or 2 details, and it wasn't enough for me to fully piece together what was really going on here. And it's an okay movie. It's an acceptable movie. I'm going to talk about my biggest problem with it first off here, because I always like to talk about the negatives. The content of the movie somehow managed to both be full of things happening and yet nothing happened at all. The movie gave absolutely no time for any kind of relationships to develop, so as various characters' names are referenced throughout the movie, you're sitting there going, who's that and why should I care?
They had time to do it, though. They just didn't.
They just didn't, yeah, right. Like, I have never seen a movie that features so many scenes of a character doing nothing with his friends, and yet it tells us absolutely nothing about his friends. or him. It's like, here they are in a 3-minute scene at the roller rink, and there's no dialogue. They're just kind of wandering around. But it was so pointless.
I like old roller rink stuff. 70s, 80s. It's fun. Mm-hmm. I was having a good time.
But pretty much every character that is not Rick or Rick just kind of exists for the sake of existing. And as such, whenever a character gets arrested or dies or betrays someone or anything like that, you're just like, who was that he just interacted with? And who was the person who just did that? Who is anybody? What's going on?
Yeah, but you forgot about his sister. She had a big role.
Yeah, his sister, but I guess a big enough role, but I don't know. I came out of the movie feeling unsatisfied because I didn't develop any kind of attachment to anyone except for maybe Rick Sr., Matthew McConaughey, who easily had the performance of the movie.
Why him?
Because he actually showed me character traits. He showed me at least a little bit of character growth throughout the movie. He showed me
all three of
actual
them did.
Character. Rick, I don't know.
Young Rick was pretty much the same, but the sister grew a lot. The dad didn't really change that much.
Yeah, but the sister grew as a result of the dad going to get her.
Yeah, because Rick Jr. made him.
Right. And Rick Jr.'s performance the whole time, it's a double-edged sword because it was an extremely dry performance. It was not an exciting performance. And on one hand, I'm like, well, that wasn't a very fun performance to watch, so I wasn't very impressed. But then on the other hand, you also have to think, 14-year-old kid in Detroit, how animated are they probably going to be?
Yeah.
It's like, so
you played the part right.
Right. It just happened to not be the most enticing part ever. And because of that, because of Rick being kind of a boring person in general, whenever something happens to Rick, you're just kind of... You look at the screen and you say, okay. I guess that happened. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah.
See, even you agree. That's amazing.
Why?
Because usually you'll find some way to be like, no, he was this.
You mean like I just did a minute ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'd agree with that.
Yeah. You're never given the opportunity to develop any kind of emotional attachment to any character in this movie. And that, when you're trying to tell a story like this with an ending like it has, is a problem. Because you're supposed to feel for the characters, and you just don't. Mm-hmm. I will say, it was a plenty aesthetically pleasing movie. The pan over shots of suburban Detroit, the lingering stills of the urban decay, they all spoke to me pretty well. And I especially like the winter shots of just the light snow on the ground. You could feel how cold it was. It was...
I don't remember that.
It felt as uninviting as real-life Detroit would feel if you were in it. So that was a plus. Some pretty reasonable cinematography throughout. But yeah, the acting just kind of across the board, barring Matthew McConaughey, just kind of fell flat a lot of times for me. A lot of the more minor characters had a lot of enunciation problems where it was really kind of difficult to understand what they're saying. And I get it. They're talking in a kind of certain, like street slang. They're using that a lot and all that. But you still want your audience to be able to understand what's going on.
And you're a white boy, Paul.
I am a white boy. 100% American.
Ugh.
What you got about this movie?
I would watch it again, but I feel like any certain part of this movie that interests you, you could find a better movie for that specific thing.
Yeah. There are other movies that do drug dealing better. There are other movies that do coming of age better. There are other movies that do broken families better. It doesn't do any one thing the best.
Yeah.
And considering the amount of advertising that I saw for this movie before, like,
Oh my gosh.
every single movie that we saw, whoa, here's another White Boy Rick ad.
Not as much as we've seen A Star Is Born, though.
That's true, yes. But given the amount of advertising, I kind of expect a little bit more when I see that much. It's like you're pushing this movie as if to expect it to be some kind of brilliant, shining light in modern cinema, and then it comes out and it's just okay. It's just, I don't know. Like I said about Mandy being slow, but in a good way and never being boring, when this movie is slow, it is boring. There were times where I was no longer looking at the screen and I was like looking at the corner of the theater because it was more interesting to me for some reason. There were parts that just dragged because, again, nothing happens.
I wasn't bored through any of it. I didn't really notice that.
No, well, your mileage will vary, of course. These are just our separate individual opinions, but I found a lot of the slower portions of the movie to just really not be very enticing at all.
I think I was distracted because my stomach hurt. So I was thinking about that.
The pain brought you through the movie. Go figure. Yeah, so if you like a good true story, or at least based on a true story, it's a movie. It exists.
As so many of them do that we
exactly
cover.
The IMDb summary gives away the ending of the plot, so if you're interested, don't read the IMDb summary if you don't know what happens at the end of this true story.
Why does it do that?
I think it assumes people already know the story of Rick Wershey.
No. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, but there are a lot of things historically that you don't know.
Yeah, that I don't know. Yeah, I know. I have more interesting things to think about.
Clearly not, if this is so interesting that they could make a movie about it.
You can make a movie about anything.
Could you make a movie about a single booger sitting on a table for 2
You're
hours?
disgusting!
What?
Why?
I try to think of the most absurd thing ever.
Why? And yes, someone could. It'd be some stupid cartoon for a kid or something.
No. Live action. Just a real life booger just chilling on a
Stop
table.
being absurd and give me a real example.
Well, there was way back in the day when Stanley Kubrick attempted to do a film adaptation of Lolita, and I believe the full title of the movie was something along the lines of, like, how do you even make a movie about Lolita? Or something like that.
What?
Because of, the
Yeah, I know what it is.
controversial material.
Yeah, I'm reading the book.
Yeah.
I don't read, and I'm reading the book.
So that's a movie that even old Stanley K had issues adapting properly, just given the content, and that it's most people won't accept that kind of content on a screen, and yet somehow the movie Solo exists. So go figure.
You know, there's a remake of that with what's his name?
Solo.
No.
Oh, Lolita.
Yeah.
With who?
With what's his name? Oh, what's his name?
I have no idea. You have
Scar.
to. Jeremy Irons.
Yes. Why'd I forget that? Yeah, he's in it. He's the guy.
Thank you for giving me at least one example after asking who he is aggressively.
Scar. That's all he'll be to me. I mean,
Jeremy
that's the
Irons.
first thing he'll ever be to me, forever.
So, first thing he'll be to most people is that intimidating bass voice.
The
Which I
Lion
don't
King
have.
is so good.
The Lion King is just Hamlet.
I said it's so good. That doesn't take away from it being good. That was such a fake laugh.
No, this is a fake laugh. Ha ha ha.
No.
I don't laugh fake.
Yes, you do.
I don't fake my laugh about anything. If something's not funny, I'm just gonna
No,
look you dead in
you
the eye and say that's not funny.
You say things and then you laugh after them and you're like,
Because they're funny. I say funny things on a regular basis. Why'd the
But
chicken
Lion
cross
King.
the road?
Lion King.
Because it was taped to a guy's sneakers. Boom. Funny.
Boom, roasted.
Roasted. Pranked.
No, really, though.
How excited are you for Beyonce Lion King?
Ugh! I don't want her in there. Get out of my movie.
But she's the queen bee.
No. No. She's too old to be Nala.
But she looks like she's not that old.
Aren't they supposed to be like 16?
Now Jay-Z looks old.
Yeah. No one's denying that.
I wish I was Jay-Z.
No, I don't.
Because then I'd have like $87 million.
He's a cheater.
You'd be too if you were Jay-Z. You'd be too if you had
Can you
Queen
give me
Bee
a-
in your ear being all like, I could have another you in a minute.
Oh, God! That was bad.
I know. I wasn't trying to make it good.
You must not know about me.
Yeah,
That's
see?
her best song.
You'd be a cheater too if you had to deal with that all day long.
Can you give me a girl example? Like, you'd be a cheater too if you were somebody not Jay-Z.
Because Jay-Z is beyond the law.
No.
He's totally above the law.
No.
A girl example? Yeah. You'd be a cheater too if you were Grimes.
What?
And you had to deal with Elon
How do
Musk's
you
crazy
go
mad
from-
scientists
okay,
all day.
Okay, how do you go from somebody everyone knows to someone like Grimes?
Hey, clearly everybody knows Grimes
No, they don't.
because her music was used at the Target Fall National Fashion Show, which is obviously the peak of modern society.
No.
That's some stinky breath from that kitty. Ugh. I regret putting my face so close to yours, cat.
Oh, there it goes.
Dang it.
Okay.
I don't know anybody that famous.
What? What are you talking about?
There aren't
Anyone?
There aren't any. You'd be a cheater too if you were Beyonce.
Is she a cheater?
I don't know, probably. She's all like, okay,
I mean,
ladies,
if I
let's
had
get information.
If I had Jay-Z as a husband, yeah, I would.
Yeah, see? Boom! They deserve each other.
No, they should have gotten divorced, but they need each other now.
Yeah, for the publicity and the PR.
Yeah. They did their whole tour. Aren't they still doing that?
Yeah, maybe they're in an open relationship and you should not be so rude about their lifestyle choices.
Well, they sure weren't the first time. And she made sure everybody knew that.
But maybe that was all part of it. A giant advertising scheme.
Maybe.
Just like pro wrestling, how everything's a work. You think that it's real, but oh nope, it was planned the whole time.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure he's just a cheater.
When you have $87 million,
I think he has more than that.
when you have $187 million, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but, I mean, if he was married to, like, a normal person... He's married to Beyonce.
Alright, so he's double immune, because Beyonce just does whatever she wants to. Why are we even talking about this?
I don't
We've
know.
been talking about Beyonce for far too long now.
Because
Oh, no.
you had to bring her up. Because I wanted to talk about Jeremy Irons.
Oh.
Because we were talking about Lolita. Why were we talking about that? I don't know. What have you done?
Let's move on. White Boy Rick is a average movie about a real kid, and we've talked about it. It's whatever. It's okay.
But really, why were we talking about Lolita? You brought it up.
Screen adaptations that don't work. Movies you can't make stuff out of.
Oh yeah. Okay. What? I could play her. I'm young enough, looking and sounding. I could pass for 12. Easy. I can be her.
You're making me uncomfortable. That's White Boy Rick. See it if you want, see it if you don't. I mean, see it if you want, don't see it if you don't want to see it. You know, it's whatever. It's an average movie. Moving on to the last movie of the week. We've got two attractive women in one movie together.
One significantly more.
That is subjective. It's Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick in A Simple Favor. This movie's an anomaly.
I loved it.
I really liked it too, but it's one of those movies that it's so all over the place and so bonkers that I don't know if it's actually a good movie or not. But I do like it.
Yeah, I liked it because it was like what stupid PG-13 movies that are like this could do, but they don't. It just goes right on past, straight on into R.
And it's... This movie is a tonal nightmare. It shifts so rapidly between serious and goofy so constantly that you have no idea when you're supposed to laugh and when you're not supposed to laugh.
But the same movie that did that was The Spy Who Dumped Me, and that one was just weird. This one, I was like, yes, this is hilarious, and then the next scene I was like, oh.
And then there's so much black comedy in between that it just blurs the line of what's supposed to be funny and what's supposed to be serious even more. It's like just when you think that you're like, okay, I think this is a serious part, and then something ridiculous happens and you're like, that's not that serious, but it's in a serious part, so is it supposed to be funny?
It was funny being in the theater. There weren't like that many people, but it was funny because you could hear what parts other people were laughing at, and the parts that you didn't really know if they were funny or not, me and Paul laughed anyway because they were funny. But we could tell, like, nobody else laughed at that part. But then later, there was parts that everybody laughed at, so...
Yeah, it's a polarizing movie in terms of where the humor is. It's about two moms who meet at school. Anna Kendrick is the very involved...
Anna Kendrick is Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick playing another Anna Kendrick role, being as stupidly adorable as she always is in her roles, and Blake Lively being completely enigmatic, passive, and just bitterly funny.
Boss ass bitch!
Yeah, rich, doesn't take shit from anyone, doesn't pay attention to anyone, and yet somehow becomes friends with Anna Kendrick, this bubbly, I have to sign up for everything for my kid's school character, and...
Stay-at-home mom.
Exactly, stay-at-home, well, not even stay-at-home because she's a single mom.
But she is one.
Stay-at-home single mom because she has a vlog.
It's because her husband died and she's living off his insurance money.
Oh, that's right.
Don't you remember?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for pulling me back into the realm of what's happening.
Yep.
And things just kind of go from there as Blake Lively's character Emily just becomes stranger and stranger. She disappears. Nobody knows where she is. And then Anna Kendrick decides she has to find out because she's her best friend. And things just go off the rails from there.
Best friend of 3 weeks.
Yeah, best friend for 3 weeks, exactly. But when you have no friends, I guess the one friend that you make is de facto your best friend.
Yeah.
And, gosh, it's so all over the place. It's not a super unpredictable movie. I saw the twist coming from about literally 40 minutes away.
Oh, yeah, as soon as, you know...
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, I'm like, no, that's not. No, that's
right.
not.
Yeah, there was... Yeah. And I was like, well, that clearly is not going to happen because there's so much movie left, and I already pieced, oh, it's probably because this. And then the movie came, and then the movie gets to that part, and it says, oh, it's because this. I'm like, oh, got me. Except you didn't.
But the rest of the movie is so weird that it's okay that they do that. It can be a little predictable. That's fine.
Yeah, it's really off the wall. It's also the second movie we've seen And maybe his second movie ever by Henry Golding from Crazy Rich Asians.
I think so.
Gosh, he is such a suave man.
Where is he?
Further
there
down.
he is.
It's in order of appearance.
Oh, I hate when they do that.
His beautiful Asian face and his rich English accent. The perfect combination.
Wow.
Now, see, that's a man crush. Nicolas Cage is a divine figure. Henry Golding
Divine?
Yes. Divine figure.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Henry Golding is a man snack. And I hope that he is appreciated as being such by all the women out there.
That's basically all his role is in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And he plays it so well. For everyone who says women are just objectified in movies, guess what? So are men. Henry Golding is totally an object in this movie.
Yeah.
He's just the handsome
all he
character
is.
that people fall in love with, and that's it. And that's perfectly fine. I'm absolutely okay with that. In both directions.
Both directions?
Yes, whether it's a man or a woman
Oh.
in that kind of position.
That's what movies are for.
Exactly. Yeah, some movies try to change the world and make a big point about everything. This movie just tosses you in every which direction. And God, there are some really kind of fucked up turns in this movie. There are some parts where I was sitting there going like, is this really happening? Is this actually happening? It was like, well, I can't believe they went there.
It was just so fun to watch.
Yeah, and such a strange sense of humor. Gosh! I mean, I saw somebody online jokingly say that they would pay $15 just to watch Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick read a book. Well, you get more than that out of this movie, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot more. That guy's getting his money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely both likable actresses, and I'd say Blake Lively was far more likable in this than she ever was in Gossip Girl.
Excuse me,
Don't-
you never saw it.
I saw lots
You
of it.
didn't watch every episode.
Oh,
like
I didn't see
did.
every second of it, so therefore...
Serena's a bitch.
Yeah. I said she's far more likable in this than she was in Gossip Girl.
I know. I'm just saying, stop acting like you know Gossip Girl.
I know that Serena was a very bland, boring character who was just like...
She was a spoiled brat.
Yeah, that's basically what I was getting at. I saw enough of that show to know what the characters were. How can you say you know and then...
I don't like you talking about things that I like you know them!
I do know it! I was in the room for like the entire series when you watched it! I was there the whole time! I understand that Rufus was Gossip Girl the whole time!
He was not! Was that when we both didn't have a job when I was watching that?
Pretty sure, yeah. I know who...
Good times.
I know who little Jenny is.
Lil J.
I know who Dan is.
I
know
Dan.
who Vanessa is.
Shut up about Vanessa. God, I hate her.
I know who Blair is. I know all the characters because I had to sit through that whole show in the same room. So, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Serena's a bitch, but she had the cutest clothes.
Well, yes, Blake Lively is a ridiculously attractive woman. No one's going to deny that.
That's why she's married to Ryan Reynolds. They're like the most gorgeous couple.
Oh.
What?
Picturing those two in the same room, I'm on cloud 9.
I know, they're so good looking and they have 2 girls.
And they're going to be beautiful girls.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, man. What an amazing life.
I know.
Here we are imagining that we're Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I could be so lucky. That's not a roast on you. That's a roast on you.
No, I know. I get it.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Well, Blake Lively's like 5'11" and I'm 5'4", so. And she has like the perfect body and I'm like plump. Anyway.
Yeah. It's an all over the place movie. It's a wild ride. It is really funny when it's funny. And, I gotta say, it's so refreshing that it's a Paul Feig movie that Melissa McCarthy is not in. Because, boy...
She would have ruined it.
This movie would have been so bad if she was in it. Gosh! So, well done there. I think that someday you will turn around and you will come to accept that Anna Kendrick is adorable.
It's just something about her I just don't like.
I mean, again, it's like I kind of said at the end of the movie, like leaving the theater, she manages to both have a distinct face and yet an oddly featureless face. I don't know what it is, but she's grown on me over time. It's the demeanor, I think. Like,
How many things have you even seen her in?
Enough.
Like 2?
I saw her in The Accountant.
Yeah. So 2.
I saw her in, hold on, let's just pull her, acting
No,
credits up
because
here.
you're gonna lie some more.
I'm not gonna lie. I promise
you
you,
are.
I will not lie.
Yeah, you will.
Nope, I don't lie.
Yes,
I
you
am
do.
a
You fib.
truthful man at all times.
Fib.
I have seen her in,
You haven't seen any of those?
let's see,
Haven't you even seen Twilight?
why would I have ever seen Twilight? Let's get real for a second.
Because, why wouldn't you have?
There's no reason I would ever see Twilight in my lifetime. It has nothing to do with me. Yeah, I've seen her in The Accountant and I've seen her in this movie, so I am pretty well versed in her filmography, I would say.
Shut up.
What? If I said I saw like any of those other movies, then you would have made fun of me. Oh, I saw Pitch Perfect. You saw Pitch Perfect. Oh wait, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I knew you hadn't seen that.
I've seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World,
But clearly not enough that you remembered her in it, so that doesn't matter.
but I've seen it.
Well, you know what?
Boom. What?
I've seen like at least 10 of these.
Whoa, I'm so impressed.
Yeah, be impressed.
I love the giant jumps in the wave form when you yell.
I'm sorry, everyone, for hurting your ears. Okay, what else? What else do you want to say about the movie?
I mean,
Or anything?
I was going to say it's funny because I didn't really say a whole lot about the movie at all, and yet I feel like I've gotten my point across about it.
It was fun. Go see it. Fun.
It's fun. It's all over the place. Yeah, if you don't know how to feel while you're watching it, don't worry. That was me too. I sat there in confusion for a lot of it, wondering what is going on.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah, perfectly acceptable movie. Perfectly fun little movie. It's dripping with style the whole time. Some exceptional outfits, especially from Blake Lively. Just some of the most...
Yeah, she looks like $1,000,000.
Oh, yeah. So, some of the most dashing wardrobe pieces you'll ever see in a movie. So, way to go there.
Mm-hmm. I
And
like how you just talked about her clothes.
yeah, they were good clothes, you know? And it's hard to really talk about any of the other performances in the movie because it's really just those three for the vast majority of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
There are some other characters, some like...
The kids.
The kids, the comic relief characters, but they're not really that important. Like the other parents at the school.
Yeah.
Just kind of there for an occasional gag, and that's it. Except for the very ending, which I'm not going to give away, but for some reason, one of the random school parents is a crucial part of the ending. It was a really weird ending. It was... I don't know.
But that's exactly what the movie was for.
Being really weird?
Yeah. And just throwing out a ridiculous ending. It was perfectly placed. What else would you expect? Some boring ending? No. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's not like sorry to bother you levels of zany, but it is plenty zany on its own. A above average level of zane.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any last words about A Simple Favor?
Yeah, brother fucker.
Whoa, spoilers! Spoilers!
Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. We can cut it out.
No, too late. You've already said it.
They'll forget by the time they see it.
Besides, we didn't say who that pertains to. So, there you have it. A remarkably solid collection of 3 movies, even with White Boy Rick kind of lagging behind and being the odd man out. A Simple Favor was perfectly enjoyable, and Mandy is an absolute masterpiece. Like, even if you don't like horror, but you can at least stand, like, gore, it's not like a scary horror movie. The movie doesn't set out to try to scare you. It's just violent.
Yes,
But
the
it's
best.
so good. Watch it, please. White Boy Rick, you can afford to miss it. It's not that amazing. A Simple Favor, perfectly reasonable movie.
I thought it was better than reasonable.
It was a good movie. There were just things about it that caused it to be incredibly disjointed and...
But it was refreshing.
Right.
Every movie does the same thing.
Yeah, for being a movie with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick in it, I was absolutely amazed by the amount of risks that it took.
Yeah.
It's like, I was expecting something far more vanilla and by the book than what we got there.
I wasn't.
Wow. Can you just tell the future?
Well, no, it was rated R, and I saw all the weird promos they did, so I was like, yes, what is this gonna be?
I was definitely expecting something a little bit beyond the mundane, but not to the level that I went to. It was... And yeah, I'm glad it went there. I always say I expect more from my movies, and it definitely, even if it didn't flawlessly hit every mark, it definitely gave it the old college try and came out with something beyond typical cinema tripe.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
right. That's how I feel about life, the world, and everything.
Okay.
Well, this is the smoothest outro that we've ever had, by far.
What?
Wonderful little gaps of silence there to punctuate the quality of the week as a whole here.
They're used to it.
I'm not going to tell you every movie that we're going to see next week because we always lie and change something.
Because the last 2 times he said them all, and I was like, no, don't say them all, and then we changed
I
them.
know. But we will give you a sneak peek into next week's headliner,
Dreadlocks.
The Predator.
Space. No, I don't know if it's his space.
Tune in next week for The Predator. We'll cover it.
Tune in next week to see if we watch any of the movies before The Predator. Because so far we haven't.
We gotta make sure we
And
do
there's
that.
3.
Oof. Well.
Oof.
Oof. Thank you.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. Tell your friends, as always. Tell your friends until they get so annoyed by hearing about this podcast that they're not your friends anymore. And you all have yourselves a spectacular evening.